My name is Sarah Reiser, and the song I chose is All of My Love, written by Robert Plant and performed by Led Zeppelin. Looking at this song lyrics using mythological criticism because there are many archetypal images and allusions to Greek mythology. The lyrics are about the universal experience of death and grief. The song depicts the mourning phase Robert Plant and his wife went through after their tragic loss of their 5-year-old son in 1977. The lyrics reveal the human concern of how to live after somebody you love is gone. They feature characters like Ariadne, who led Theseus out of the labyrinth with her string, and the Muses. There are many themes like birth, acceptance, and grief. The first line of the song is Plant wondering if he should move on from his son's death. Two types of archetypal images that reoccur in the song are fire and a feather floating in the wind. Fire is often represented as an eternal flame or an eternal light or eternal love. For this, Plant doesn't want his love dimmed by an outside force, like light, to dim his love for his son. A feather in the wind is a type of visual imagery used to compare Plant's son spirit as a feather literally floating in the wind. It can depict his son's spirit going to heaven. The final line of this verse hints at Greek mythology. A thread that has no end might represent the three fates. The fates have a thread, which is someone's life force, and they cut it when it's out. In heaven, this person is already dead, so that means that they have no end to their life force. Again, the archetypal image of fire or flame is used in the first two lines. However, this time the eternal flame is dimming, possibly caused by a tide of marriage problems born from grief. There is more Greek mythology referenced in the next two lines. At last the arm is straight, the hand to the loom. Is this the end or just begin? This possibly refers to Ariadne or Ariadne, who in Greek mythology led Theseus out of the labyrinth, a horrible place. Plant is trying to get himself out of a horrible place of grief. He posits, is this the end or just begin of his grief? This line can also mean an allusion to the three Muses. They will cut the string, and that will signify the beginning or the end, rebirth or death. The hook is a simple expression of Plant's love for his son. The first line signifies something positive, possibly the rebirth of Plant's family after the tragedy struck them. They raise a cup in the midst of death to celebrate life. In the next three lines, we see the significance of the name Ariadne, again, the mythological figure from before. These two lines show that Plant's moving on with his life after his grieving period by trusting Ariadne to get him out of the metaphorical grief labyrinth and lead him into a new thread or a new beginning of life. This final verse wraps up the whole journey taken in the song nicely. We see the speaker struggle with his sorrow at the beginning of the song, move to acceptance and rebirth, and finally the family realizing they can move on after a tragedy and still care for their son. There was a whole lot of imagery of cloth and thread and how they connect to the fabric of life. Yours is a cloth, mine is a hand that sews time, his is a force that lies within. The combined yours and mine show the possible reconciliation of Plant and his wife after they had to go through tides that dim their flames. They are making a cloth together instead of separately, the fabric of the life. The his in the second line relates to their son's spirit, whose memory gives them power. The fire archetype is used again to show the internal flame that is love for their child. Ours is a fire, all the warmth that we can find. Warmth and fire just signify love and acceptance. He is a feather in the wind. Again, their son is a feather floating in the wind, his spirit going on to heaven. Again, the hook is a simple expression of Robert Plant's love for his son. In this final slide, I'm going to talk about speaker, tone, structure, and form. The speaker in the song is the lead singer Robert Plant. The overall tone of the poem is somewhat sorrowful because the lyrics are about the death of Robert Plant's son in 1977. The speaker seems to be reflecting on the experience of losing his son. The overall general consensus is that the song is ultimately about him and his wife trying to find a way to move forward but still have their son in their memory. The lyrics are fairly straightforward. His perception remains the same throughout the song. Each verse is characterized by a stanza by the phase of grieving Plant is going through and how he tries to decide how to move on while he still loves his son. The lyrics have no rhymes or mid-stops but flow nicely. The smooth flow and the sound of the synthesizer creates a whimsical effect for the song.